El Nino is an abnormal weather pattern caused by the warming of the Pacific Ocean near the equator. Trade winds blow from east to west above and below the equator. During El Nino, the trade winds can decrease or stop. This causes the warming of the eastern Pacific. El Nino occurs every 2 to 7 years. Here we have an example of weather patterns in the Pacific during a normal year, and then weather patterns in the Pacific during an El Nino year. Hi, are you guys open?
Yes, we are.
What kinds of fish do you have?
Due to this year's El Nino and upwelling, we only have cod right now.
What's upwelling?
Upwelling is extremely important because it brings a lot of deep water to the surface. This water is often rich in nutrients. Coastal upwelling often supports the growth of seaweed and other producers. This in turn provides more food for the marine animals and birds. Upwelling generates some of the world's most fertile ecosystems. As you can see here by the ocean shore, there's a lot of different producers and tons of fish.
As seen here, because of El Nino, warm water is brought closer to the shore and causes a decrease in the upwelling along the coasts of western US and western South America. By decreasing the amount of nutrients on the top of the water, the coastal ecosystems cannot get enough nutrients. This leads to a decrease in fish populations.
You may wonder how upwelling affects the economy in the U.S. Well, warm ocean currents are coming further north, and all sorts of tropical fish can be caught in the waters far along the west coast and the United States. As upwelling decreases, this greatly alters the ocean environment. Upwelling results in colder, high-nutrient waters. These nutrients fertilize surface water, which results in high productivity. These conditions also allow for great fishing.
Also be an effect of El Nino in the sense that it attracts more mosquitoes due to El Nino's wetter climate, and that means that it will increase the malaria transmission rate, and flooding makes sanitation much more of an issue as well, which has the potential to cause diseases like cholera. A vector-borne disease is a disease where an organism contains the infection within itself and transmits it to other living organisms, and this could be things like Lyme disease, and malaria is also a vector-borne disease.
There is much agricultural success in California. Very popular crops include almonds, dates, and lemons. These crops are grown in the perfect, warm, mild climate. El Nino can increase the amount of rainfall so much that it brings flooding, landslides, and some coastal erosions. All of this can severely damage many different agricultural sites. For example, this.
Hello, how are your crops doing?
I don't know, how are yours doing?
I think I'm going to take a break from farming this year. El Nino says there's going to be a lot of flooding, and I don't want to get my corn and my extra crops wasted.
How do you know that?
Forecasting El Nino can give farmers a huge heads up as to what their farms would look like and how they need to prepare, allowing them to adjust their growing seasons and analyzing the amount of rainfall and moisture to come. Their farms can either look like this with preparation, or their farms can look horrible like this.
Hey, did you hear about what happened in Peru with upwelling this year?
No, I haven't.
My house is flooded. Who did this?
It was El Nino.
You mean the boy did this?
No, it wasn't a boy. El Nino brings heavy rainfall on our nation's coast, causing overflowing of rivers and flooding of cities, towns, and neighborhoods, and can even cause mudslides. As a part of the El Nino effect, warm water appears on the ocean surface near and or during December, causing rainfall to increase even more and more of our houses to get flooded.
Wow.
The effects of El Nino damages many stores and homes of the civilians, which cost Peru lots of money to repair.
This is not right. This is not cool.
The effects of El Nino can leave us with a very long dry season that can last up to 12 months. These dry seasons leave us without food to feed our families. Hey, did you hear about the La Nina that's supposed to happen this year?
A girl's supposed to happen? What are you talking about?
No, stupid. It's the weather pattern.
That was pathetic.
La Nina is characterized by unusually cold temperatures in the western equatorial Pacific, compared to El Nino, which is characterized by unusually warm ocean temperatures in the eastern equatorial Pacific. In La Nina, the weather in the same areas around the equator gets colder than average. The trade winds also speed up. Off the west coast of the Americas, upwelling increases bring cold, nutrient-rich water to the surface. These cold waters of the Pacific push the jet stream northward. This tends to lead to a drought in the southern U.S. and heavy rains and flooding in the Pacific Northwest and Canada. In the Atlantic, La Nina cycles typically produce a more active hurricane season by weakening the wind shear over the Caribbean Sea and the tropical Atlantic basin, which allows storms to develop and intensify. La Nina will lead to an increase in Atlantic hurricane activity.
We learned so much today. I especially learned about how El Nino affects the fish market and how El Nino can also affect how much nutrients comes to the shore. What about you?
I really learned about how El Nino affects other countries and not just ours.
And stop and stop moving.
What's the word? Alright, just